Okay, good afternoon. So today on the news, what you're seeing across the United States is kind of shocking. And a lot of people are thrown off by what they're seeing because this isn't really something that they expected to see. You know, when you have commentators and debaters and essentially media types ending up in this kind of a scenario, it really expands the lens of what the problem is in the United States. And a couple people asked me already what I thought about Charlie Kirk being assassinated, which, as you know, earlier today in Utah, he was shot and killed while speaking on campus about gun violence. And, for the record, that is something that he talks about quite extensively in the back and forth exchanges that he has with the people that come up to debate him. And as someone who, I love and adore speech and debate and the the Lincoln Douglas debates, I've always watched the material that comes across the feed where you have some people who are ready for someone like him, and then you have a lot of people who just aren't really dialed in yet, and they've never done speech and debate, so they don't understand, what it takes to kind of have that back and forth. And giving the credit it's due, Charlie Kirk was very good at it. Charlie Kirk was very good at speech and debate and very good at talking about his brand of politics in the United States and his viewpoint and view of America. I want to shift and tell you something that you might find troubling and that you might not have thought about, which is kind of what I seem to do quite a bit. And to me, it's just every day the way I live my life. When I was much younger, I grew up in England, and I come from an Irish American family, as you know, and I lived in England during what was known as the modern period of the Troubles, which was the entirety of the 80s. And when I came back to the United States, my life shifted dramatically from always kind of being on edge, but enjoying a quiet life over there. But, having to live with the reality that at any point in time, there could be some type of bomb in a dustbin blowing up, a building blowing up, a car bomb, and these things happen frequently. And I've written in a book about my experience when I was in Brighton. And so, I was there the day in Brighton when the hotel bomb went off. One of the things I want to talk about the Troubles is that, to me, growing up in the Troubles and watching that happen, modern day America, the way that it's split, it looks almost the same. It's different, but it's almost the same. And a lot of people, may struggle to kind of put this into comparative terms, but let me make an effort here to explain for the American audience and people who grew up here their whole life and have been divided their whole life, an understanding of why this might be the American Troubles, right? This might just be the American Troubles. And especially now that something like this has happened, it's very much escalated it. Okay, folks, I'm going to come back with a part 2 on a separate video just because TikTok's having a lot of issues today because of the volume of content likely that's being thrust at the servers because of obviously what's happened. And there's a lot to be said and a lot going on. And I would like to continue to make the consideration for, everybody as we're watching this, that these things have taken place elsewhere. And that, growing up in the Troubles in England in the 80s and being an Irish American, we have seen these parallels before. And I would like to come back for another video, and we're going to talk about, more of the militarization, more of the distrust and suspect nature that people have towards their governments and towards their elected officials, and the lack of trust they have in the politics and the processes, right? And I want to come back to this, but I'm going to leave it here. And God bless y'all, and please stay safe out there, and please be kind. This is why we talk about having kindness for others and kindness for ourselves. Remember to look in the mirror and say good things to yourself daily. We don't want to become so bent, warped, and twisted that we bring harm and ill to others, right? Speak to people in the way you wish to be spoken to, above all. And, always observe, these golden rules that we have about how we treat our fellow folks that are thousands of years old. Okay? Be well.